Good evening. It is Thursday, May 13th, and I'm going to do something a little bit different this evening. I'm going to give a couple, well, one in particular, product review. The second one is, well, it's pending. I'm going to take a circuitous route to that because I want to talk about Odin and Freya. Because Odin taught Freya the runes, and Freya taught Odin magic. And we put this into our book, Northern Paganism, the runes, as to why. Why did Odin teach Freya, goddess Freya, maiden goddess Freya? Why did he teach her the runes? Why was it her specifically that taught him magic, white magic? There is a lot of people spewing forth nonsense about our lore, and they base the knowledge they have on what the religious cults of Abraham have told them our ancient belief system was about, how it functioned, who our gods and goddesses were, who our ancestors were. What we have today, we have educated fools from uneducated schools. But that doesn't mean they're correct in any of the information they put forward. As a pagan who wants to honor their pagan folk, pre-Abrahamic pagan folk, caution and discernment must be used. There is much deeper knowledge to northern paganism than the silliness that Abraham has put forward, or the foolishness from the uneducated indoctrination centers, schools. Let me give you an example. I know a professor, holds a PhD, multiple PhDs. And to speak with him, which I have done, to speak with him, he says, when I bring it up about, he's a Christian, by the way, and he believes that the Jewish people are the chosen people because the Bible says so. But when I bring it up that the Jews, now please don't think that I am actually saying this. I bring this up to show a point. Poisoned wells of Christians. It was Jews that poisoned water wells to kill Christians. It was the Jews that would kidnap a virgin child, usually a male, and cut him during the Passover with many small cuts, draining the blood. Call this like early adrenochrome draining. He says, well, that's all nonsense. That's all anti-Semitic. But yet he'll teach as part of his class that pagans would paint themselves blue, barbaric pagans. would paint themselves blue, dance around at bonfires, and have orgies. So I say, the very same people who wrote that about pagans also wrote that about Jews. But you say what they wrote about Jews is wrong and it's only anti-Semitic. But what they wrote about pagans is true. Educated fools from uneducated schools. Our belief system is much deeper than what modernity would have you believe, with a glazing of Abraham. Odin has a fear. I've talked about this before, that Munin will not return. Munin, memory. The memory of Odin will not return to him. To have present and forward thought but lose your memory in today's era would be called Alzheimer's, dementia. Now, I'm not insinuating, not in the least, that our pagan ancestors had the diseases that we have today or the number of sicknesses that we have today. We have dirtier water, dirtier air, dirtier soil than they probably ever dreamt that we would have. For instance, cancer. Cancer is a modern disease. You could say it's man-made to a certain degree in the extent that we know it is today. Not to target a people, but just as a consequence of actions that have been allowed to transpire. The earliest case of cancer is circa 3300, 3500-ish BCE, before the Common Era, from Egypt. And from the artifacts that are found with those skeletal remains, it appears that that person was a cook dealing with the soot of the fire all the time, breathing that in. After that, cancer is non-existent. And so our pagan ancestors, our northern pagan ancestors, would not have known the debilitating aspects of cancer, the pain, the suffering, because they had cleaner water, cleaner air, cleaner soil. We don't find cancer really burst onto the scene until the Industrial Revolution with the factories. So a lot of these things that we see today, we can't just use presentism and say, since we have them today, they had them then, because that would be completely inaccurate. It just wasn't the case. So what lack of memory, what Munin not returning, is Odin speaking of? Old age. Odin represents the gray-haired, grizzlied old man, the end of the year, Grimnir, the Grim Reaper, the nighttime god that presides over and controls chaos, because he put on the dark blue mantle. A god of light put on the dark blue mantle to preside over chaos, to control it, to ensure justice returns. So what we have today is we have a a society that's weakened by sicknesses, many sicknesses that our ancestors didn't have to deal with, and we struggle against them. Not only do you have the normal aging process, but you have all of the other added diseases. And then you have people. I'm gonna throw out some names. Whether you like them or not is your personal choice. But you have pioneers. I really truly consider some of these people pioneers for maybe correcting. Now this is capitalist America, and I fully support that. 100% support that. I'm going to talk about Elon Musk with Tesla, his cars, a green energy car in the truck, which is the Cybertruck, which is like totally out of the box. Totally, I like thinking out of the box, and it's got some really nice features. Green energy, electric. You gotta come up with the electric from someplace, and I am more along the lines of supporting nuclear energy than I am solar or wind. Just because it's, well, I won't get into that. The problem is to do this, people have to be able to afford. In order for it to make an impact, people have to be able to afford that thing that's going to hopefully correct the pollutions that man has put into the environment. Enter politics. I wish politics was on the politicians were on our side, but I look into the eyes of some of these people that we have in Washington, D.C. today, and I'm like, the lights are on, but nobody's home, for crying out loud. They're either in it for themselves and to make a career out of politics, or they're in it for their lobbyists, but I don't see them truly in it for correcting some of the damage done. I don't. I see greed. I see power hungry people that are using trigger elements that they are promoting to then also tax people more, enslave people more to a system, not to correct things. So the government here in America could be working to, well, for the people. It could be working for the people. And not only in health-wise with helping green energy. Now, as far as global warming and all that stuff, I believe in global warming. It's existed for thousands upon thousands of years on a cyclical basis. That's where the Franks came from. The combination of two groups of people, the Freyjans and I believe it was the Chalkians or the Saxons. I can't remember which one exactly off the top of my head. It flees me from Union. Either way, there was a global warming period where the Netherlands, the lowlands up in that area, flooded, and those groups of people moved south into what is modern day France and combined the names of the two groups of people and became the Franks, the French. So I believe in global warming. It's cyclical, thousands upon thousands of years. The positive green aspect of things like electric vehicles, as long as we can have the energy source to supply and keep them moving, to supply power to those vehicles, zero emissions. We have to start correcting some of the damage of the Industrial Revolution. We have to hold certain companies that have polluted our waterways and our soils responsible. We can't just have more chemicals dumped into the soil and then into our bodies and expect different outcomes. That's the definition of insanity. Odin taught Freya the runes. Freya taught Odin white magic. I no longer live in the Holy Lands of the North. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this word. Africa. Africa. If you look up the etymology of Africa, it's very difficult to find in some sources. I've gone back to 1872 sources that do not have it. I looked in the concise etymology of English, the concise dictionary of English etymology, and it wasn't there. You know where I found it? I found it on an online source. Latin Africa, terra, African land, Libya, the Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa, Africa as a continent, feminine of adjective Africus, from Afur, an African, a word of uncertain origin. The Latin word originally was used only in reference to the region around modern Tanzania. It gradually was extended to the whole continent. Derivation from a Phoenician cognate of Arabic afar, dust, earth, is tempting. The Middle English word was Afrique. Africa does not apply to a people, but a location. Tanzania was the first one. Though that's the area of the Amazi people, the original people, the indigenous people of Africa, especially North Africa, was the Amazi people. White skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, Africans. They're from northern Africa. It refers to the land, though. Dusty, sandy land. So where I currently reside, I wish I had the topsoil of the Holy Lands of the North, because in order to garden here, I have to bring in topsoil. My neighbors who are organic farmers have to bring in topsoil to get things to grow. Why? Because the soil is sandy. I live below the hem of the dress of Mother Goddess Freya, and it's very difficult to get things to grow in this sandy soil. Africa, a fur. Let me get into a product review here, because I tried a supplement. Both my wife and I tried it together, and it was, you may have seen it advertised on TV. It was to help us sleep better, because that was one of the claims of the supplement. One of the claims of the supplement was it gives you more energy and helps you sleep throughout the night to regulate your sleep patterns. It also helped you lose weight, gut weight, they said, that was caused from insulin-resistant fat. Okay, so we ordered it on the basis of, if you let us get a good night's sleep, our energy level is going to go up, obviously. So we ordered this supplement, and it's called Golo. And in my opinion, it's the biggest waste of fucking money and as far as a supplement, because it didn't do anything. Now, they send you a box, and now we bought a 90-day supply because they said you got to give it 2 to 3 weeks to get into your system, and we got like 4 pills left. Okay, this is the pill bottle. All right, like I said, in my opinion, waste of money. Don't do it. But what they say is, if you're trying to lose weight, what they say is, and from somebody who's been down this road of exercising and working out and staying physically fit in my earlier days and competing, if you know nutrition and you know how to formulate for your own personal body type and metabolism, it's about knowing self, your fat intake, your calorie intake, your carbs and your protein, and you keep track of it, then you don't need this pill. Because what they send you in the box is they send you these pills, and then they send you a diet plan. And the diet plan is essentially what would lose you the weight, not the pill. If you threw this pill bottle away and you said, I'm just going to go by the diet plan, you would lose weight. The pill itself, after taking it for nearly 2 months now, has done nothing for my sleep patterns. My energy level is because I grit my teeth and I bear through when I'm tired. So, in my opinion, don't waste your money on Go Low. Now, the second supplement has got to do directly with memory and mind function. And this is the one we tried. It's organic lion's mane mushroom. The lion's mane mushroom is supposed to have a positive effect on cognitive ability in the long term. Now, I have seen some people who say, well, they're going to put this to the test. And day one, they mix it with their coffee or with their tea, which I put it in my coffee. It gives it not a very earthy flavor, but it gives it a little bit of an earthy flavor. It's good. It's not an overwhelmingly mushroomy taste. How I like it is I put it on my eggs, half a teaspoon sprinkled on my eggs, and I eat it in the morning. And I'm not picking on anyone in particular because I've seen many of them. One is just popping to mind. Your mind is a very powerful tool in all areas of your life. But I saw a person put half a teaspoon into their tea, and day one report was, I feel more focused. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder if somebody gave them a placebo and said, this is the same thing, if they would have felt more focused as well. This I'm doing because lion's mane mushroom is supposed to have a long-term effect on your cognitive ability. And Odin feared that Munin would not return. Munin is memory. And he went to Freya. Now, why Freya? Why maiden goddess Freya? Because that's who would have known about mushrooms and their healing ability, their ability to help over the long term. Why? Why would she have known that and not Odin, Allfather? Because Odin is in play during winter nights, and mushrooms wouldn't be growing in the winter. So Odin taught Freya the runes, which he took up during winter nights, and Freya taught Odin white magic, because that's when things begin to grow. Maiden goddess Freya would know all about when to harvest them, when they're the most potent, when they're the most effective on the body, what they do for us. There are so many things that connect our well-being to northern nature. Teas made from Yggdrasil, fir tree that has cancer fighting effects. Imagine that. The tree that never dies. The tree that never dies, Yggdrasil, the fir tree, the yew tree from Udalir, Holy Land of the North. The fresh buds and early growth mixed into a tea have a cancer-fighting aspect to them. Anyways, that's where I'm going to end this video. I didn't even mean for it to be this long, but product review. and correction, to put ourselves back in tune with nature, to want it cleaner, but not want it cleaner on some politician's higher taxes, line my pockets, power hungry table. I don't know how I can make that any clearer. There are damages that have been done. I know Christians who have more paganness attributes as far as being in tune with nature than I know neo-pagans who do. And I talk to people on a daily basis. This isn't just about hailing Odin and having a bloat and lifting up a mead horn, and it's about posterity and handing something better on to them. Throughout our time as Christians or Abrahamic, not only was damage done, like the Industrial Revolution and even like the killing of the cats that spread the bubonic plague because now rats were running rampant throughout Europe. And there was no predator to the rats. Damage was done, and then it was recognized as being done, and then the can was kicked down the road. There was no steps taken to change that. The can was just kicked down the road. And maybe it comes from the mindset of, well, this is the final generation. It's all going to burn anyways. I don't know. But as a firm believer in reincarnation and rebirth, we can't keep kicking the can down the road, because all we're doing is kicking all those diseases down the road to our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. And there's got to be a correction. There's got to be a correction. And it's got to be more than just lining the pockets of some politician or lobbyist or lawyer or whatever. It's got to be a sincere correction. I hope that happens. I support it happening. I hope you do too, as a pagan, or even Christian atheist. I don't care what you are. Correction is needed. That's where I'll end this video. I have no report on this lion's mane tea, only what they claim, and from my research about what the mushroom in general claims. So, looking into my different nutritional books. The other one, waste of money, in my opinion. Anyways, until next time, or till's nest to go. Good house.